Hey, this is Jared with VeteranDB, and today we're going to be going over, um, we're going to be making a series of videos showing showing everyone how we put together a veteran database. So this is an actual live coding example that we're going into. So let's just dive right in, yeah? All right. So we have this concept here, this request for a lead gen from a post. So just to give some context as to what that means. Um, Basically, here's the Carbon Digital listing. Um, Basically, put a form right here so that anyone visiting the website can actually submit a contact form and you'll get the message. So that's pretty cool. So we're going to be adding that. And so in order to actually add that, that's going to be a lengthy series of steps. So here's all of the steps here. I've already itemized them. So we need to update our API to be able to send an email and then trigger that email for each listing. And right now we're just going to put it on business, nonprofit, and podcast, and then see once the directories take ownership of their listing, then I don't have a problem adding it there. But until they do, it's listed under my account, so it doesn't make any sense to do that. So once we'll update the API, these areas, then we'll also go and create a component that we can reuse and then plug it into these listings on the live website. So in order to actually do that, I went ahead and created an email. So this is what it's going to look like. New lead from veteran database with your listing information so you know where it comes from. The lead information and their message, a little pep talk here about go close the deal, and then some notes on how you can give feedback to help us manage this process and the platform better. So I've already created that, and that will be used when we get to it in the API. So first up, we are going to create the email service. So we basically need to trigger the email, right? So that's where we're going to start. Well, before we do that, I'm actually going to, well, while we're doing that, I'm going to work through this email. I have the file already created and downloaded. So this is the actual HTML file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it through this. This is a translator. It converts HTML into Pug, and Pug is the templating engine that all of our emails use. And it looks like we got some issues here. Well, first of all, I need to gut out all of this Internet Explorer stuff because I don't care about Internet Explorer. Well, let's beautify it. Beautify just means format it so it looks pretty, so it's easier to read. And you can see that that outputs correctly. Um, there we go. So that's beautified. Okay, so I don't care for that. We can take out this IE9 stuff and keep that. Got all of these comments. We can get rid of those. The way that this generates code is very archaic. Just going through and deleting this Internet Explorer crap because we don't need it. Now, normally I wouldn't care. When I'm doing email marketing, I don't care. I just leave all that crap in there because it's copy, paste, roll out. But in this instance, I need to care because I have to read through all that garbage when I convert it to Pug. So, in case you're wondering, yes, this is time consuming, but this is an actual decent sized feature that we're adding. So it definitely will take some time to get it done. I would play some music, but it's 2 a.m. So probably don't want to wake up the kids. So close. Only got 300 lines of code to go through. So these are just comments that back in the day when Internet Explorer was a big deal, you used to have to write specific code for how Internet Explorer works. So all I'm doing here is removing that Internet Explorer specific code. And then we got some errors. Yep, property value expected. We can take that out. That's just going to throw an error. We don't need those. Don't need that. And don't need this. Cool. So now we have a beautifully formatted email. All the crap has been taken out of it. And we shouldn't have any errors now. Yep. Now it's converting here to Pug. So I will copy that in a minute because we'll need that. Okay. So first we're going to create this email service, which a service is just a collection of logic so that you can connect it to an endpoint. I could probably go through that in a little bit. So API components is API. Cool. And create branch. Nice. So we're just having Jira here create our API branch or create our branch because that standardizes the output and links it to the system that we're using. All right, we're now on the API, and once this is done fetching, we should see that new branch here. Nope. Try again. Okay. Sometimes this stuff takes a while. There we go. there is our new branch. So before I get started, I'll just make a comment because you just saw that we created it, but it's not registered here. Okay, so now all of that baseline is done. We will check our code is running. Cool. Oh, should probably delete that. API. Start off with our package so we know what version we're going to. And then we need our email views. So we are just going to copy one of these and create a new one. This is the lead gen form. Listing lead gen form. Okay. So this is Pug. It's basically a beautiful way to read HTML. And it's a templating engine. So what that means is all of this code is gonna make it look like actual HTML. Okay, now I gotta go through and gut this puppy because you don't want all of this. Let's take out meta all the way up to here. Okay. So there's that. All of that is there. Table, 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 and div. Okay, there we go. So now that this is all formatted and aligned correctly, we need to inject the data, and that's going to be done like this. There we go. Here we go. 8 submitted. Oh, as usual, you got to check how do you do these things. So here is an example. There we go. And we're going to call this date submitted. Name, email, phone, and last but not least, message. Okay. Now that that is done, we got to go back up a little further and capture the URL. This thing right here. Um, and there we go. Oh, okay. Nice. Okay. So the email template is ready. We do need a list of our variables. So listing URL, or just put them over here. Date submitted, name, email, phone, message. All right, we're gonna need those. Okay, so now that that's done, we need to go into our email. So I'll just show you real quick. So this is a ecosystem called Nest, N-E-S-T, and it works off of controller module service. So back in the day, websites used to be built, well, Node.js websites were originally built as model, which is the structure of your data, view, which is the pages that are visible, and then controller, which are the logic behind the scenes. So that was called MVC. So that was the old school way. Uh, in an ecosystem like this, that's um, far more advanced. It doesn't operate the same. It operates off of controller module service. So module has all of the all the tools related to this. So this is account. All the tools related to that are here defined in the module. And then you have controller, and this controller helps define all of your endpoints. And then service is all of the logic that you plug into the endpoint. You could do without a service and just plug it all in here, but that's not pretty. It's very disgusting. This methodology here is called mounted routes, which means we mount this logic to this endpoint. Um, basically, it helps keep our projects modular and easier to maintain and easier to read. So now I can come in here and say, okay, I can see everything that's happening very quickly and go to the next folder or the next file. So, and then our service has all of our logic for each of these endpoints, which defines what pages you can go to, how you get data, all kinds of stuff like that. So here in email, you can see we don't have controller and module. That's because it's simply a service. So it's just logic. And so that is why we have to create the logic and then attach it to each module individually. And that is a design mechanism that was done that way. Okay, so this is where we create an email that's being sent out. It looks all the same. I'm looking for one, that one. So we're gonna call this email listing form leads. Pretty simple. So we want to send an email. Let's do this first. We need to create a DTO, data transfer object. So this is going to be listing form leads .dto.ts. This is TypeScript. So we'd have, I'm not even gonna pretend to, I'll just pull one of these out. Nope. Nope. Yep. Okay, this is the listing form lead DTO. Okay. So this is done with TypeScript and a tool called Class Validator, which you build a class and you can have these validation tools built in. It's pretty sweet. All right, so first alphabetical. Cool. Email is already there. Password is going to be gone. Okay. So let's see. All of this is going to be a string except for this one as a date. Okay. So here's what that looks like. Boom. Okay, those errors go away. We want it's not empty on all of them. Okay. And we want to define them as a string, which just means text. And this one here is a date. Is date. Pretty simple. So now that we have this, we can get rid of this. Okay. So this needs to be sending data with this format. Import. All right, so send an email to, oh, I forgot to add account info. Oh, well. There we go. So what that does is that gives us all of the user account info so that we can plug that information into here. So data dot account dot, we need first name. Yep. Then we need data dot account dot last name. And finally, we need data dot count dot email. Okay. Move these from the VeteranDB. Let's add an emoji for, absolutely no reason. That's all. I like the rocket and the fireball the most. There it is. Copy. We can get rid of that. Oh, there we go. Templates. This is our email template. Listing lead gen form. Not creative. Okay. So context, this is where all of that data goes. So we have all of this. I probably could have kept that file a little longer, but oh well. Okay, email comes from data dot email. Date submitted comes from data dot date submitted. Listing URL. Okay, so now all of this data, when we send it in, gets automatically added to our template, our email template, where these were provided. So that is pretty fancy. Why is this? Because of that? Yep. Okay. All right. Update our error information. Cool. So now the service is done. That is all that it is. So now we can use this anywhere throughout the application. Yep, just create service. So that is there. So I will close that. I don't need the email template anymore. And increase our project. Then go through and add all of our notes on what happened. um, Set up email template. Cool. Let's do it this way. Created listing form leads TTO. Sweetness. All right. And import listing form leads DTO. Set up email listing form leads method. Sweetness. Update project version 0 to 50. Ooh, we're getting up there. Okay. So now everything on there is done and we can develop, we can deploy. So this is our API. We'll deploy that to our dev branch. Get rid of all this chaos for now. PR. That's the pull request. That's what I just created over here. Merge, confirm, and delete. So that is now done. So that doesn't actually do anything yet. That just deploys it here to development where we can see exactly what's going on. So this is actually going to spit out logs when it gets there of what's happening and what's going on and whatnot. So I'm going to pause this until this is done and I'll come back. Okay, so now this has finished deploying to the development endpoint. Now it deployed to dev successful. All right. Now we need to deploy that to production. Now, just for context, I'm skipping all of the testing because that takes way too much time. To show everyone what that looks like is what I mean. All right, main branch, deploy, sweetness. Okay, and now we get to play this game again on production to make sure that it is working. For context, we just deployed a service. We didn't actually connect it to anything, so it's gonna work. I just don't like doing too much in one thing. So I don't want to deploy all of this code at the same time. That's insane. At least it is to me. I know companies who will publish 100 updates at a time, and that's that's chaos. I like micro updates. Incrementally move the ball forward, and you don't have to wait for things to be added. And so, since we're doing everything in a linear motion, which means this happens, then we can do this, then we can do this. Because we're operating that way, it doesn't matter. We can deploy as many times as we want and not really affect it. So, okay, it's going to take a few minutes. So, I'm going to pause this again and then come back when it's done. Alrighty, so our API has been deployed to production, which means it's live for the world. Deployed to production. Successful. All right. And we can close out this task. Great. So now we've done that one, we can go through and actually create an individual email for each of them. So I'm doing this one. We're going to do the work. Sweet. Now let's create a branch on our API. All right. So we can fetch. Means we'll get the latest updates. There we go. Just copy that and throw that in my comment here. Cool. And this component is for API. Sweetness. So now we can get started. Okay, so our project package file is open. Sweetness. We don't need views, but we do need business. And we need a endpoint. So now we're here on the controller, and then we will go through and add an endpoint for this. So I'm looking for a place to put it. Right here. Okay, so we don't need it. any of that, but we are going to send data. So we need an example of data body. Okay. Here. Let's upload logo. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to email lead gen or send email listing lead gen. Okay. Now we need to rename this. Send email listing lead gen. Sounds crazy, but the data is going to be the listing lead form leads DTO. All right. Call this send form lead gen form email. Send email. Cool. And so now that that is prepped, we can come here and we can go to business module. We need to make sure we add the email capability. So email service. Okay. Now we can use that here in our service. So here we want this private email service is email service like so. And now we can use this info. I don't need all this right there. Okay. So that's a long ass name. Okay. The reason it's so long is because we don't know if we're going to need to send other emails. So we prepare for that eventuality. Uh, okay. So based on our email service, we call the method and pass in the data, which means email service, email listing form leads, data. That's pretty self-explanatory, right? So here's the beauty of this. How do we know it worked? That is what Postman is for. So we're going to open up Postman, which is an API testing tool, and we're going to find out. I can tell you it's not going to work though. Business. I need to send email. I'll just do this. One of these. Duplicate. Send email for okay. All of that is there. There we go. There's our endpoint. Our body is not that. Okay. JSON. Okay. So if we try to send this now, we should get an error. Yep. The error doesn't really help. So let's make it more useful. So with data, we need to confirm we actually have a user. So let's find the user. This is what I'm looking for. Here. So we need to verify the user. And the user is basically, oh, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because we don't have the user data in the context. Sweet. Okay. Here's what I'll do. Take this out. Actually, no. I'll make that optional. And then string um, listing slug. There we go. So now that's differentiating. Okay. So why did I do that? Because I need the slug from the page. So if we're putting a form on this page, I need this to find the business. And so that is where we need to read one business based on the slug and return the account. Yes. So here's what we do. Const user account account this is giving me an error saying account type. That's because I did that wrong. That's a string. Okay. Okay. All good there. Okay. We found the account. And then I don't need to do that. I can do it this way. Nope, I can't. Business is missing from type account. Oh, and then, okay, I see. There we go. What this says is put in our slug from our data, run it through this method here, which is going to execute all of this, and then save that in a variable called business. Then take our data object in our account field and set it to business.account, which returns just the account data, and then send the email with the new updated data. Sweet. That should work, which means now here, I do need to provide some data. So where's our data object? There we go. Paste that in. Don't need those. Don't need those. Okay. JSON requires all right, my email is going to be all right. Setting up some data here. Okay. I don't tell it to send an email to me, but it should be in dev. So that should send it to Mailtrap. Yep. Okay, listing URL. Hmm. Go. So there's a decent format here. And we can test this again and go. Unauthorized. Let me check the controller. Nope, it's not. All right, let's check business. It's not been created. Oh, I know why. Well, no, that shouldn't be the case. Our module's been updated. The information should be here, but it's not. And that's why our error fails over there. Oh, duh. There it is. Send email listing. Okay, now we can test it. Boom. Still unauthorized. Really? No context. Well, that don't make no sense. Why is it unauthorized? I don't know. Yeah, it's the right URL. The API version hasn't changed. I don't know why. This account is still optional. Okay. Hmm. Okay, I get to figure out what's going on. I'll be right back.